The one true flag is the most democratic weapon in Helldivers 2. Being the true symbol of Super Earth pride, it is a favorite for many Helldivers out there. I'm Red Monster Thing, but you can call me Red. And today, I wanted to talk about the hidden power of the one true flag in Helldivers 2. First things first, the one true flag is technically a support weapon, despite the fact it is obviously advertised as a LARP item for people who want to roleplay as Super Earth's most loyal Helldivers. This flag takes up an entire stratagem slot in your loadout. It's found in the Masters of Ceremony Warband on the 3rd page for 110 medals. Objectively, this weapon is pretty expensive, and it has some controversial qualities. It is also the center of many debates in the Helldivers 2 community, whether or not it should be buffed, and most importantly, what role it fills in our arsenal. So what's the debate exactly? Well, the best way I can summarize the whole issue with this weapon is that there are two passionate camps that enjoy this weapon. While most players either don't care or want a buff, I wanted to attempt to accurately represent these arguments and tell you all my thoughts. One side of the argument believes this weapon deserves to be powerful, since it's the flag of Super Earth. It's literally the symbol of the entire game, and it's one of the main reasons why Helldivers 2 is so iconic. And the other side believes that it should essentially be just a flag, and while you can stab some lighter units, it mainly gives you the role of boosting team morale in a limited role-playing sense, instead of incorporated it into actual gameplay. Currently, there is no magic with this item. It's literally just a flag for the most part, aside from one unique feature that has the potential to completely transform your gameplay in team environments. But before we get into that, let's look at the stats of this beautiful weapon. First of all, it deals 200 standard damage and 100 durable. It's medium pen, so you can't penetrate enemies like a Hulk or Charger to the face. Because this weapon is a melee weapon, it depletes your stamina bar instead of ammo, which makes using it a challenge for most players. It actually has a pretty big stagger, sharing its stagger force with both the M90A and the Punisher shotgun. Essentially, this weapon is a long spear with the Super Earth flag tied to the top of it. And after taking a look at these stats, this weapon is clearly a long shot away from the most powerful support weapon we have. Honestly, at a first glance, you'd think this weapon is pretty ineffective in general. I mean, we're literally talking about a traditional spear in a sci-fi horde shooter. There is absolutely nothing special about this weapon, aside from the fact it is the one true flag. But the question is that enough? Well, that's the question I intend to answer. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like or hype the video if you're on mobile. If you enjoy my content, be sure to subscribe. And once we hit 100k subscribers, I'll tell you what my favorite color is. One distinction I must make about this item is that it has a hidden ability. Yes, this is true because recently this was noted in official patch notes. However, this weapon has no way of telling you how the weapon actually functions while you're in-game. In no game description of the sort, it has the unique ability to instill hate into the enemies of democracy, making every enemy in the mission target the flag bearer above all else. Well, that doesn't sound good, not at first anyway. You're basically taking aggro from enemies, and presumably if you're solo, you won't notice a difference in gameplay. But in a team environment, it's incredibly likely that you will get swarmed. So how can this change actually benefit your team? Well, there are many fun tactical opportunities a lure item like this brings into the game. If you have a teammate that is being overwhelmed, for example, you can easily take the heat off of them, making their retreat much more bearable. Of course, you still have to manage your own. Maybe you lead a swarm of enemies into a choke point so the rest of your team can light them up. There are certainly a lot of fun ways to redirect and herd the enemies of democracy with pure Super Earth hate. Have some mines you need them to run over? Maybe there is an orbital you want them to walk through? Or maybe you're on a ledge they can't reach while the rest of your team is on the ground. Either way, there is so much potential, but you are also the bait, so be careful. Now, getting into how this weapon fares on each faction. Firstly, I must say that this weapon will perform mostly the same against all factions, but I have different recommendations for what gear you should bring to accommodate for its weaknesses. For the bots, I highly recommend taking the guard dog, at least the standard one with a Liberator Penetrator strapped to it. This guard dog aims for weak points and is usually extremely effective at killing most light units that present a real danger to you. And because your support weapon can't deal with heavier units, I highly recommend bringing a strong sidearm like the Ultimatum or Missile Pistol. Thermites will probably help in this case, and the Missile Pistol can help with clearing an extremely broad range of units. You could bring Expendables to sort of act like a support, but you could also take the Chaotic stance and bring the portable Hellbomb instead. Using extreme explosives like the Hellbomb backpack will help round up the enemies and farm you a ton of kills. But you could instead take a solo silo because it can one-shot a Factory Strider, and you can use it like an expendable. Expendables really help in this case since you can equip your team with extra weaponry, like Eats or Commandos, while your sole purpose is to round them all up for easier kills. For Squids, it's a lot simpler. You can once again bring the Hellbomb backpack, or you can take a guard dog of your choosing. The hot dog is extremely good on Illuminate. Voteless and flesh mobs are already pretty easy to handle, especially in a team environment where they are targeting only one person. If the rest of your team takes mechs, you can be the damage sponge while they all get free hits. In a group, especially against the Illuminate, this kind of teamwork can feel even overpowered. For the rest of your gear, I highly recommend chaff clear items like the Trident, Sickle, or Liberator Carbine. It can also help if you bring a good secondary like the Grenade Pistol for clearing out bases. But you'll need to bring some sort of expendables or an Orbital Rail Cannon Strike for Harvesters, because this is by far the enemy type you will struggle with the most on this front. For bugs, be careful. This faction is by far the hardest faction in the game for this kind of playstyle. They will swarm you, and unless your team is nearby, taking this flag can put increased pressure on you. I highly recommend taking the Gas Guard Dog since it will keep most bugs away from you as they chase you, and the Orbital Gas Strike. If you want the offensive approach, take the Hellbomb backpack once again, because seriously, this strategy is so insane, and it's even more lethal on bugs. Obviously, you should take the Ultimatum if you can, since it is simply one of the best sidearms for killing chargers. And Thermites are alright in this case. For a primary, you may need something more consistent in both damage and armor pen, so I recommend taking anything with a lot of ammo, a fast fire rate, and medium armor pen. I don't personally like recommending meta gear, but if you want to use the One True Flag to the fullest extent, I highly recommend some of the strongest chaff clear weapons like the Coyote on the bug front, or literally anything with stagger. To wrap this all up, I really think this weapon is an effective weapon with its own niche. Sure, it's not the most powerful or destructive tool in our arsenal, but it is a crowd control device that heavily benefits your team in a group setting. If you play with your team, they can rally with you, and all of that damage and targeting will be funneled to you, effectively protecting your team. I highly recommend taking medkit armor once again, and anything that makes you objectively more tanky. If your team brings enough firepower, I promise that they will be able to hold the line. Anyways, that's all I have to say about the One True Flag. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. It helps a ton and it means a lot.